believe it or not, there are definitely things that I don't like about utilizing positive reinforcement in horse training, and today you're going to hear all about it. If you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Shay, and on this channel I talk about my two horses, Sage, my pant mare, and Penny, my Mustang mare, as well as a little bit of horsey educational content. To start out, we're going to do a quick little definition of what positive reinforcement is. It's merely the addition of an appetitive stimulus to encourage a behavior. Most often you'll hear treat training or clicker training to be associated with positive reinforcement. Issue number one is muggy horses. Oh my God, it drives me nuts. And I know those that train positive reinforcement say that if a horse is trained correctly, this should not be happening, but I'm gonna discuss why it happens. This issue is usually started by those that are starting positive reinforcement with the best intentions, but may not be going about the process the right way. In the long run, it ends up creating a lot more problems than they had to begin with. This issue can be resolved by starting positive reinforcement training with manners, not with tricks, not with liberty, and not even with trailer loading. The main priority has to be teaching your horse the proper treat receiving posture. Now for me, a cue for Penny when she is not quite there with her correct neutral position, I like to say, Penny, fix your face. She usually does. What this means, you want a neutral stance. They can still have their ears forward, but they need to be overall relaxed. If a horse is jigging around, they shouldn't be receiving treats. If the horse is messing with your treat bag, they shouldn't be receiving treats. Penny has to stop with all 4 feet on the ground, stand quiet, and either keep her head straight forward or turn it slight to the side, depending on my positioning. A lot of people encourage a horse to be straightforward, keep that entirely neutral stance. I don't mind if Penny's head is slightly turned away. This being said, her attention is still on me at that time. She's not looking off in the distance at something else. She's still focused on me, just a little bit more neutral and not excited about treats. Issue number 2 that I have actually has nothing to do with the horses themselves, but the community. Now bear with me, don't get all excited, don't get all upset, because this is something that I see in all areas of horse training, that a lot of times people will stick with their one method and will completely refute everything that everyone else does. The absolute biggest issue that I have with some of the people in the positive reinforcement community are those that are saying that using any other training method is abuse. And I've seen it before. I've seen multiple comments stating anything with positive punishment is abuse, anything with negative reinforcement is abuse, anything that utilizes tools that a positive reinforcement trainer would not use is deemed abuse. And I just don't think that's a fair statement. Another point of discussion is ethics. And unfortunately, I think that's something that a person themselves needs to find and what their personal ethics are to be able to equate what is ethical in horse training. For myself, I don't see pressure and release as unethical. I think it's a different method of training than positive reinforcement. Those that are force-free trainers may assume that anything is unethical that doesn't allow the horse a choice. And what I mean by that is a lot of stuff that's done at Liberty, you're giving the horse a choice to walk away or not. Now we can get into the discussion of learned helplessness in a later date. I don't really want to get into that now, but it is another point to consider that a lot of times people will make the argument that a horse won't do something if they don't really want to. But there is something called learned helplessness where they will just do it because they're being told that's what to do, so that's what they're gonna do. Again, I still think that's something that can't be qualified as abuse. When we're throwing abuse out there, it's putting a lot of bad light on people that aren't actually being abusive, and it's throwing a lot of accusations out. So I think that we need to find a different way to fix our verbiage a little bit when it comes to methods that we do not agree with. And just to make very clear, this is not everyone in the positive reinforcement community. I think a lot of people in positive reinforcement are trying their best to teach things in such a newfound way that the horse world is so very focused in old styles of horsemanship that it's hard to steer them away from it. It's when we start to get aggressive in conversations or confrontational or accusatory, that's where I see the issues lie. People aren't going to want to shift to something else if we're just going to yell at them that they're doing something wrong. The one other issue I have with the community is those that say that if you are not entirely positive reinforcement, you're a bad trainer. And I just cannot agree with that. First of all, from the stance of knowledge alone, I would say that I do a fair amount of positive reinforcement training but I don't consider myself to be a positive reinforcement trainer. A lot of that has to do with my level of expertise, where my knowledge is at in positive reinforcement. While there are a lot of things that I have taught with positive reinforcement, a lot of things that I've learned to teach Penny how to do with positive reinforcement, there are other things that I just don't know yet, and that's okay. We don't know what we don't know, and unfortunately, again, when we have people just yelling that you're doing it wrong, it's going to deter people from wanting to teach that way. The last issue that I have is again with people and not with horses, but it's those that try positive reinforcement one time and then claim it doesn't work. Those that claim that muggy horses are always going to be happening with positive reinforcement, and it's just not true. That's what we've talked about in the first point of muggy horses are created through people teaching positive reinforcement incorrectly. But if we teach proper posture, proper manners prior to teaching the rest of positive reinforcement, we will not have muggy horses. A lot of people claim that positive reinforcement is dangerous, that it creates dangerous horses, but I would argue that just about any method can create dangerous horses if you're not doing them the right way. If you are encouraging a behavior, your horse is rearing and being ill-mannered, and to try to get them to calm down, you're feeding treats, that's doing positive reinforcement wrong, and that's creating a dangerous situation. On the other hand, you have someone that's training with negative reinforcement or maybe even positive punishment that's using an overabundance of equipment to discipline a horse. Let's say that this horse is bucking while riding and someone comes in and just whips the crap out of them. That could not necessarily encourage the behavior, but the horse itself is not understanding at that point. It's creating more of an abuse situation where the horse is not equating what's going on to why they're being punished in the first place. Those situations can still create dangerous horses. If we want to be in the middle, someone that isn't doing positive reinforcement, maybe doing negative reinforcement, but isn't disciplining or rewarding a horse one way or the other, can still create a dangerous horse. In any spectrum, any version of training, horses can be dangerous, and it's our job as their handlers to create safe horses through the correct method of training, with whatever training method that is. Living a life on the internet always means that there's going to be people that disagree with you and don't like what you're doing, but we as a community have to begin to build people up if we want them to try out a new method, especially something like positive reinforcement in a horse industry that is so dominated with negative reinforcement. It's our job to encourage learning and not completely degrade someone for learning something new or trying to become a part of the positive reinforcement community. And listen, even Clinton Anderson has said, if you want to train with treats, that's on you. And I'll put that video up here somewhere that he basically was saying, if this works for you, that's great, and I'm glad that works for you.
For me personally, I don't use food or treats to train a horse, okay? Now the real answer is, there's no right and wrong answer. There's no right way to train a horse and wrong way to train a horse. Some techniques and methods and styles of training suit this group of people, and other techniques and styles of training horses suit this group of people. So there's no right and wrong answer. Reality is what works for you, and if it works for you, knock yourself out, keep doing it.
Do we all agree with his methods? No. However, if he's even saying that, I feel like we should all be able to work together to understand that each person has a different way of training their horses. You don't know what you don't know. And yes, there are some things that should be fixed promptly. However, a lot of things we can come from a place of kindness and guidance instead of coming from an aggressive stance. Most of us did not start off training with positive reinforcement. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, feel free to check out my last one that discussed the differences in each training quadrant in the operant conditioning chart. In the comments down below, let me know what things you may have taught your horse with positive reinforcement. If you liked the video, feel free to like, subscribe, ding the notification bell, do all the things, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys. Fuck. I've never even seen that.